Hi everyone, it's Eileen with Creative Eye Designs, and I'm working on a dummy cake today. I want it to look like a cherry pie, but it's in a cake. So this video will be a couple of different episodes, if you will, because we have to allow for our spackle to dry overnight. So I'm going to be using the DAP Fast and Final. And I was debating on using some paint to color my spackle, but I don't really want to waste the color in the spackle, if that makes sense, because I feel like I might not need that much, and I don't want to color it if I'm not going to be making another one of these, although I might. So I'm just giving it a good mix. You want to really mix it up. Get any lumps and bumps out. Make it nice and creamy and smooth. And after my spackle dries, I am going to paint the cake. So that's why I'm also opting not to put the paint into my spackle, which will also, make it thinner and runnier. So I just am going to use a plain white spackle. And I'm just going to slap it on there. So we're going to go all the way around, and you've seen me do this before. I just want to give it a good coating all the way around. I've seen this idea on Instagram and Pinterest, where, once again, I love being inspired by real bakers. And I saw these cakes that look like pies, blueberry, cherry. So I wanted to give it a try. And I think it would make perfect decor, for the patriotic season coming up. And we're going for a realistic looking cake. Just going around, trying to smooth that out, and more so spread it out. All right, any extra, just put that back in your bucket. I'm going to be using one of these Wilton, I guess it's a buttercream spreader, and I want to try and get this as smooth as possible. So I'm just going to go around my cake. And if there's anything I'm not happy with, I can always sand it once it's dry. So I'm actually pretty happy with that. Just want to make sure I have the bottom covered up well. Scraping any excess right back into my bucket. I'll give it one more. So it doesn't need to be a thick coating of spackle either. You want to save on your product. You don't really need a lot of fake buttercream, especially for this design. So that is going to be it for the spackle. I'm going to give it a light skim coat on top, which I'm also going to end up painting once it's dry. And it's not going to matter if it's smooth, not smooth, because we're going to be covering that up with our cherries. All right, so let me just get that covered up. We don't want our spackle to dry out. And next I'm actually just going to use some clay. Now, if I had red clay, I would probably use red clay, but I don't. So I'm just going to use white, and I am going to paint the clay once that's dry as well. So it'll be okay. You can use any air dry foam clay. I'm going to go with Modelite today. It dries super fast. It's super light. And it does tend to hold its shape. You could use, like I said, any air dry foam clay. You could use your Model Magic. You could use the bows, whatever you have on hand. I'm just going to give it a condition, and that's just warming up the clay in my hands, being sure it's nice and stretchy. And I am going to just make little balls, guys. That's it. I'm just taking a small piece of clay and I'm just going to make balls. And maybe I'll start right here in the center. You see if I can move the camera so that you guys can see what I'm doing. And that's basically it. So I want to go around the whole perimeter with my clay. Okay, so I went around and I put all of my cherries on there. And I will say, if I were doing this again, what I would do is I would definitely mark my center. So what I had done after I started putting my cherries was I took my lid off of my spackle, and I just made an indentation in the top of the cake so that I had a guideline, because for this design, it's going to be pretty important that it's kind of, I guess, precise in its design. So I ended up having to smush my clay over so that I have an even way going all the way around, and I have it about an inch. So this is now going to sit overnight to dry, and then I will come back in to do some painting. Another thing you could do, instead of using clay, you could still use your spackle, put it in a piping bag, and just use like a round tip. This is a 2A Wilton. I don't know if you can see it. Hopefully you can. It's just a circular opening, and you could literally just make plops of your spackle all the way around, and those will harden and dry and look like little balls. So that's another way I'd like to try it. But the reason I went with the clay is because I wanted my cherries, again, to look realistic, not just like a buttercream, but realistic. So I want to use my tool that I love to use to make cherries and blueberries, and just put little indentations in the cherries, and hopefully you can see that. Let's see if I don't think I have the lighting good today, but we're just going to make some marks in our clay to resemble the openings of the cherry. And that's pretty much it. So guys, thank you for watching. I know that this was a short and quick one today, but I'm hoping to see this design come together, and I hope you'll join me in the process. Thanks so much for watching, and if you like the content, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.